Good morning, everyone. God bless you and welcome to our Heart Stream today. First of all, today is day 33 of the 40-day vigil throughout the world put on by the 40 Days for Life organization, where people go and pray at abortion facilities around the world. I'd like to read to you from today's email that I received from Sean Carney, the president and CEO of 40 Days for Life. He says, David, there is no such thing as a safe abortion. It's deadly for the baby, as 40 Days for Life participants around the globe have seen firsthand. And it's dangerous for the moms, too. Whenever an ambulance appears at an abortion facility, it's a grave reminder that more than one life is on the line. In Cleveland, Ohio, an ambulance arrived at Cleveland's preterm abortion facility on the first day of the campaign. A gurney transported an abortion center client who was covered with a white sheet out of the facility and into the ambulance. There have been dozens of ambulances called to preterm during the 10 years we have been conducting 40 Days for Life campaigns, said John, the local leader. In Sarasota, Florida, it was abortion day in Sarasota when an ambulance carried a woman away from the local Planned Parenthood. Vigil participants were shaken by the scene and prayed for the woman as the ambulance left. In Houston, Texas, 40 Days for Life participants in Houston watched and prayed as the second ambulance of the week arrived to Planned Parenthood to retrieve a woman from the facility. Abortion is risky for the mother and deadly for the child, wrote the Houston leadership team. Yet those are just the physical implications. The emotional and spiritual wounds inflicted through abortion are deep because they go against our human nature to protect the innocent and to defend our own. And then there's a scripture and prayer from Psalm 8, verses 3 through 9. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor. And the prayer, Lord, you are the creator of all things. Guide my thoughts to consider your creation and all of its majesty, beauty, and holiness. Guide my heart especially to your creation of precious human life. Help me to comprehend how essential life is in your own heart. Teach me to appreciate, love, and protect all human life. For Life, Sean Carney, President and CEO of 40 Days for Life. Part of the reason I bring this to us today is because in my meditation with my wife earlier this morning, I was taken up into Mother Mary's retreat and saw how there are beautiful classes held for especially young girls who are ready to enter puberty, as well as other teenage girls and young women. And these classes are on the development of the body temple, and also of the development of the heart and of the mind and consciousness, of the soul and the spirit, and how God embeds within life itself, an essence of Him herself, and of how the intelligence of God is melded within the framework of how life is conceived and develops. of how the energy of God, Him herself, yields this beautiful spirit that through its own innate intelligence naturally then precipitates all the essentials for the human body temple to be born. The conception itself is hallowed in heaven as a sacred event betwixt man and woman. And because conception is hallowed by heaven, Mother Mary says it should be hallowed upon earth. The sacred act of conceiving a child is one of the most glorious cosmic events that we can engage in as sons and daughters of God. And yet, what has happened upon earth? Many believe that life doesn't really manifest until birth, rather than at conception. And yet, how could a soul come into being without conception? It's impossible. There has to be the conception between the polar opposites, the ovum and the sperm, uniting to create the miracle of life. So in Mother Mary's retreat, I saw thousands and thousands of young women, girls, and yet also fathers-to-be, young boys and men, coming to understand the nature of life, the nature of the development of life, and of how God has embedded His, her spirit within this, and how we, the conscious ones upon earth, can involve ourselves in this creation, this co-creation, consciously by participating in the most optimal development of the body temple, by doing those things that safeguard that life first and foremost, and then allow it to develop beautifully, reverently, holily, with all of the faculties coming unto fruition within that little body temple, and of the greater faculties of the spirit and the soul also developing simultaneously. And although the soul is already in a sense developed, yet it must have a house, a vehicle through which to express, and of how miraculous it is that this spirit actually then proceeds into the auric field of the little being in gestation, at some point during gestation in utero, and then when the actual birth occurs through the woman's birth channel, there is the miracle of life that we all know as a most amazing alchemy. So we are born in a sense in heaven first before we are born on earth. We are co-created first as an essence, as a spirit spark, before we descend into matter. And then in the matter planes have this coat of skins through which the oversoul of our higher self has a point of reference in time and space to evolve and to become a co-creator herself with God. So in these classes of the spirit and the heaven world, we are taught that through the agency of the Holy Spirit, we can involve ourselves in this beautiful process with God as co-creators. And that when we are conscious, when we are aware of the permanence of the spirit, even within the temporal nature of the body, we allow the hallowing of that spirit within this sacred little temple of light. The miracle of life is the miracle of God, of God's holy quintessences broadcast and spread throughout the cosmos. And every life form is sacred because every life form, in essence, was created as a part of the great tapestry of the cosmos itself. And so by hallowing life and looking at every life form as sacred, we cannot do things that dishonor God and dishonor the life both within us and all around us. Within these hallowed sanctuaries and schoolrooms and the etheric retreats of the Universal Great White Brotherhood, and especially at Mother Mary's retreat and others of the Lady Master's retreats, there is an ongoingness of the education of our souls and spirits, so that when we alight upon earth in our own physical body temple, we may understand how we, as sons and daughters of God, can engage in this process, and even if we choose through a higher awareness, involve ourselves in the immaculate conception of souls of a higher order, spirits that are more developed, souls who in past lives have wielded great divine light and then seek incarnation in order to bring to earth the higher teachings of the Aquarian Age. And so mothers and fathers are being called to bear witness to this through their own lives, live to the glory of God, when they purify themselves, their own body temples, their minds, their hearts, their wills, in congruence with cosmic law and the evolution and the evolutionary cycles that God has embedded within the intelligence of our DNA, our chromosomes and genes. And as we engage in the holiness of life itself and the co-creation of life, we, in a sense, fulfill our purpose, becoming closer to God, becoming more God-like as fathers and mothers. The closest we can come to understanding who God is and what God is when we engage in co-creation with a partner in the sacred yielding of ourselves to the process of creation itself and allowing the Spirit to move through us and the energies and the powers of heaven to flow through our chakras and through our physical vehicle so that this beautiful life form can come forth and emerge in our plane of being. When man and woman understand the sanctity of life and of first their own life, then they will never dishonor their own being first through licentiousness or perversions of the life force that is manifest within them. They will guard that light, as Jesus shared in the parable of the 10 wise virgins. They will hallow what God has co-created within ourselves by living reverently, holily, and wondrously within the greater creation of the cosmos. When we are cued into these dynamics, when we are aware of what to all ascended masters is obvious, that life does begin at conception, then our conceptions will be pure and victorious, colorful, creative, powerful, dynamic. We can engage in divine happiness with our partner and see the most amazing manifestations of the future of that child compacted within the cell, the individual cell of the sperm and the egg, that then divide through mitosis and become ultimately a human being in form. Imagine a whole culture that understands this dynamic, participating in the drama and the alchemy of the creation of a golden crystal age, where every pair of man and woman is aware of their place within the greater scheme of Aquarius unfolding, where they are very careful in how they are thinking and feeling, emanating, emitting energies, and of how they gather skeins of light into their own being first, so that then when the two partners merge, there is the greater definition of light within the spirit that now has a form through which to embody. Through a beautiful life form, a beautiful body temple. Now, most children are absolutely beautiful when they're born, very holy, very sacred, very pure. And yet, what do we do upon earth? Unfortunately, we sully them, bombard them with all kinds of stimuli that they really don't deserve to have if we were conscious. And so we must guard the sanctuary of the habitation wherein the child lives, so that it is pure and undefiled. It actually should be a sanctuary of light. And the place, the room, and the home where sons and daughters of God choose for the child, whether it is the parent's bedroom or ultimately as he or she gets older, their own bedroom, it should be safeguarded with great light and intention so that this evolutionary and developmental process may be the most optimal for that soul. We feed the child the mother's milk for the first 6 to 9 to 12 months or even more. And then at 6 months or approximately when the teeth start coming in, of course, then some more solid food can be provided for the child. Often ground up fruits and vegetables, kind of pre-masticated, so to speak, through a blender so that it is assimilable by the child. And then eventually the child can have more solid food. All of these understandings are taught in Mother Mary's retreat and in other retreats. And when young women, young girls understand this, then they will be more caring and careful with their own body temples and how they prepare for this great event of the incarnation of a soul. They will be not so oblivious to how spirit is moving within them, how the soul that is incarnating is already attached to them internally within their womb, and in a sense also guiding them in participating in this alchemy and drama, and communicating to them telepathically, because this does occur. How many women know much about their child already when they are sensitive by simply listening and observing what is transpiring within their womb during the 9 months of the development of this child? The conscious ones, the initiates, become very sensitized to the needs, both spiritual and physical, of their child, and the fathers too can become very sensitive. I'll remember very dearly when my daughter Valerie was born. We were going to name her Bonnie because we had Baird and Ben, and then, well, why not make it a third B? And then she was just born and said to me very clearly, telepathically, "My name is Valerie." And it was like a forceful statement and a varying of her sacred name. Of course, Valerie is a beautiful name, and it is her. She is that individual who desired to have that name. So when we are in alignment with life itself, through the 40 weeks of gestation and through the 40 cycles of the incarnation of a being in time and space, in the matter planes, we will help to raise the consciousness of all mankind by allowing the highest individual to incarnate through us and then to proceed victorious through its own life plan to the fulfillment of its purpose on earth. Khalil Gibran said that, in effect, that our children were not ours. They come through us, but they're not ours. And this is true. The soul has its own destiny. The soul has its mission. We are simply here to help facilitate it, yes, to guide it, to nurture it, to protect it until it is old enough, conscious enough to go forth into the world to co-create its own destiny. So as parents, we protect and help the child man, the child woman, self-define who it is. Yet we allow heaven to be engaged in this process so that we are not trying to control the process so much as allow it to manifest in the most beautiful and natural way. The teachings on life, the teachings on the development of the body temple, the mind, the heart, the spirit, soul, are all important for us to come back to when we see the inanity and insanity of what is transpiring upon earth during this time of the Kali Yuga, when life is not revered, when abortions are happening throughout the globe, and in effect it is a type of infanticide, though it occurs before the cycle of birth, physical birth, it is still infanticide, Mother Mary says. And so this is what was seen by John the Beloved in what has been called now the Book of Revelation, where the dragon cast out of its mouth this flood to, in effect, sweep away souls who are trying to incarnate through all mothers, all women who can give birth to children. So this is a plot, a strategy of the dragon, the dark ones, who use institutions like so-called Planned Parenthood, which is really more about planned infanticide, sanctioned by our Supreme Court in 1973, unfortunately. And we have to, as a spiritual culture, undo this great demonic state of life on earth, purporting through what they call women's rights to allow the woman to choose what she desires in consultation with her doctor. Well, Mother Mary says that doctors who have devolved in their awareness to engage in abortion are not true doctors or true physicians. They have unfortunately become the hands and feet and the mouthpieces of Satan and of the serpent and of the dragon itself. We love them, though we do not love what they do. We pray for them, for their conversion, and for the restoration of an understanding of the sacredness of life. though of course we cannot condone the killing of innocent life in the womb. Some think this is a political issue that should not be spoken of, yet I can assure you it is much more than a political issue. Yes, it is a political issue in one sense, yet it goes way beyond politics. It is about life, about creation, co-creation, procreation. And so Mother Mary is asking me today to speak on this so that we can come back to original principles and values of life. Remember, in our Declaration of Independence, it speaks of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Why did the founding fathers, in writing that document, especially Thomas Jefferson, put life first? Because, of course, they saw that we must revere life. We must uphold and protect life. If there is not the moral fabric and fiber to protect life, then what do we have in a culture, in a civilization? We don't have a true civilization without the protection of the life of the unborn and the life of every man, woman, and child, no matter what the color of their skin, where they were born, to whom, etc. This understanding of the sanctity of life itself is the core issue of this time. It is the core issue of what is transpiring upon earth. If we resolve this issue itself, we will have the beginnings of the age of Aquarius. If all governments, cultures, peoples respected the sanctity of life, imagine almost the immediate transition into a time of deeper peace, understanding, where the virtues of God would be broadcast and honored and kept within the lives of all peoples. Yet without this core issue resolved of the sanctity of life, we then dishonor life and all of its manifestations in women and children, in religion, etc. If we dishonor the life of the unborn, we cannot then also honor the life of women fully. And unfortunately, women have been deceived by the serpent to think that their rights are more important than the rights of the innocent unborn. They actually work hand in glove because women are the ones through whom children come. And so women should be the greatest defenders of the life within their own womb, the life that is growing inside of them, to safeguard it, as most women do. Yet the great lie and the deception is that their own freedom and liberty to do what they desire with their own body supersedes this greater principle of life itself. And so we must stand forth in defense of life, all life, the young, the aged, and not allow our culture, our so-called civilization, to further devolve, to engage in diabolical acts, such as we have seen in the media and outplayed in movies and television shows, etc., where life is dishonored, violence is accepted, murders are strewn across the screens. And so we have a gradual erosion of the understanding of the sanctity of life everywhere. And so we must garner skeins of light back unto our souls and spirits to allow there to be a new era of life, light, and beingness. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week. Thank you, Mother Mary, for this beautiful teaching today. Take care.